Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. Well, yesterday was a massive day in court for the SEC versus Coinbase, and the judge was relentless. And guess what else? We got Brad Garlinghouse talking about that, and we've also got Brad Garlinghouse sitting down with Fox News' Maria Bartiromo in Davos, and he's going to go over a lot of things, whether it's the Coinbase case, the ETF approvals, Gary Gensler's SEC, the regulatory battle in the U.S., KYC, AML, Stablecoin Legislation, financial. You know what? Somebody just rolled a damn intro. Here we go.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You guys can follow us on YouTube and Twitter for exclusive content. Let me get the page up right here. You caught me while I was raising the desk. I like to stand when I do my videos here the last year or so, and I absolutely love it now. I've got a, remote desk you can raise up and down, and it's very nice to be able to stand up and not sit so much. I'm really getting into that, so this is really great. Hope everybody's having a great day. Right now, it's $1.75 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's off by 0.6%. 42,400 for Bitcoin right now, 2,500 plus for Ethereum, 94.9 billion plus for Tether right now, and 56 cents for XRP. Off by 1.2 on the 24-hour, off by 6.5 on the 7-day. Not setting the world on fire today, but we'll keep an eye on it as we're between 55 and 57 cents, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, I want to remind you this, because I'll tell you what is on fire. It's tickets to XRP Las Vegas, ladies and gentlemen. May 3rd, May 4th, 2024. Write it down. One of the most important conversations on crypto, digital assets, regulation, builders, trade, TradFi, Web3, policy, regulation. We've got it all, and it's going to be happening on stage May 3rd, May 4th, 2024. You need to get your tickets, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you something. And if you have not done it, I have had the luxury and the privilege of meeting and speaking to every one of these people you're looking at. And they are going to be guests of honor at the Future of Digital Assets benefit dinner. And we are supporting that for the Chamber of Digital Commerce. Shout out to Perry Ann Boring and everybody there. This is a big opportunity. If you have not had the pleasure of meeting either one of these gentlemen and speaking to them personally, you will have a chance to do so at this benefit dinner. It is a charitable tax donation, and it is something you can also write off. And I tell you right now, it is limited seating, ladies and gentlemen. So I would get this ticket and then get your ticket to XRP Las Vegas as well, and make this a conference that you will never, ever forget. Because if you haven't had the pleasure to spend time with either of these gentlemen, you are in for a real treat. Click the link underneath the video. Right here, we see the SEC versus Coinbase courtroom revelation yesterday. And let me tell you, shout out to Good Morning Crypto for this. And I just want to add this in very quickly here, ladies and gentlemen. Whoo-wee. I listened to all 4 hours of this yesterday. And I tell you what, Judge Falia is how I'm saying her name, should be, I think it actually stands for badass, because she's a badass, okay? She came into this conversation, instead of wanting to hear the opening remarks and all this business, she said, you know what? I got like 14 pages of questions or something of that nature, and I'm going to start asking them right now. And for the first 2 hours, the SEC was rocked on its heels like it was getting wrapped in the face by Tyson. It was unbelievable. And this is just one of the things that came out of this yesterday. SEC said the tokens themselves are not a security. Judge Falia said, that's what the folks at the back table think, which is where Coinbase was sitting. And they're wondering why we are here. Coinbase's stance was validated, leaving the courtroom buzzing. Do you believe crypto assets should be regulated as securities? The answer is no. That's how I feel about that. Look, I feel like, honestly, these digital assets are not securities, but you can package them in an offering, as we know, to be a security. There were multiple remarks made in there that really let you understand that the judge was very, very knowledgeable. The questions she was asking SEC and Coinbase, for that matter, were very detailed, and they were the kind of questions that were formulated that you could easily understand from the question that Judge Falla absolutely has an incredible understanding of this technology and how it's supposed to be looked at. I tell you, this is going to be exciting to see where she ends up coming up with this decision. She did say yesterday she wasn't going to do a decision on the same day, and that was hats off to both parties for the arguments made. Right now, we have Brad Garlinghouse. Boy, I tell you what, Brad is a standout at Davos this year. We got interviews all over the place with Brad. Yesterday, Bloomberg House, right? And then we had CNBC. Now we have him today with Fox and Maria Bartiromo. And you're going to hear him talk about everything from ETF approvals, Gary Gensler's SEC, the early days of the internet, stablecoin legislation, financial institutions getting to use it for settlement, and so much more in hopes for the U.S. market. Let's take a listen to this right here.
Welcome back. Take a look at crypto prices this morning, down across the board. The price of Bitcoin falling over 8% in the last week after the Securities and Exchange Commission approved spot Bitcoin ETFs for U.S. public trading last Thursday. Bitcoin ETFs pulling in nearly $900 million in just the first 3 days of trading. We're even higher than that today. Joining me right now here at the World Economic Forum in Davos is the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse. Brad, great to see you.
Great to see you.
Thank you so much for being here. I want to get your take on the impact of this ETF approval. What have you seen?
Well, I think it's a very big deal, in large part because I think it's further validation from institutions and even in this case a government entity where the crypto has been on kind of the outskirts, I think, and increasingly you're seeing that come into the mainstream. And so I think it's a validation. I think it's further indication of more institutions coming into the crypto asset market.
And Ripple enables global financial institutions. Take us through that. How?
So Ripple, at its core, we sell blockchain technologies and solutions to enterprises. We focus primarily on financial institutions. We started with a payments solution to settle cross-border settlement for banks, for PSPs. Typically, cross-border payments have been slow. They've been expensive. Using these technologies, we can dramatically reduce the cost and increase the speed and efficiency. And
now you're seeing financial services institutions try to get their own strategy with regard to blockchain underway. How has that changed the dynamic for Ripple?
Well, I think anytime you have a new technology, it's nascent, and although crypto has kind of been around for 10 or almost 12 years, let's say, it's still new. And I think you have a lot of large organizations, even JP Morgan, despite Jamie Dimon's comments about how he thinks about crypto, they're investing heavily in blockchain technologies. Now, that being said, I think in order for blockchain to thrive and for the largest population to benefit from these technologies, you can't have insular closed networks. Like the whole point, it's kind of like the internet. The internet opened up networks. You had AOL and CompuServe and Prodigy. Along comes the internet to create interoperability. Crypto does.
What a great point. Keep listening.
That and can do that across many banks and to provide dramatic improvements to how we think about money movement and really any transaction.
And with any new technology, I question whether or not those writing the laws around the regulation framework really understand the technology. Now, recently, you called the Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Gary Gensler a, quote, political liability to the United States. You said he's acting in the interests of citizenry or the long-term growth of the economy, that he's not acting on behalf of customers and users. Tell us more.
Well, look, I think Gary Gensler has prioritized hiring more lawyers to litigate the industry. And this is often described as, or kind of regulation through enforcement. If we just took the time to codify rules of the road, most of the industry in crypto wants to follow the rules of the road. Countries around the world have leaned in. Even the European Union, 27 countries in the European Union have come together to create a construct for how crypto should be regulated. In the United States, we haven't done this work. I jokingly suggested maybe what we should just do is type into ChatGPT, how should the U.S. That's more than the U.S. SEC has done. And it's frustrating. And I think I guess yesterday there was a court hearing between Coinbase and the SEC. And the judicial system continues to slap down the SEC because they're overreaching. They're overstepping what the laws say. It's the reason why they lost the case against Ripple. It's the reason why they lost the case against Grayscale. It's the reason why they were dragged kicking and screaming to have an ETF. Thus, as I was quoted, I think Gary Gensler hasn't been acting. He's been acting on almost his own agenda, not the people's agenda in the
Why?
United States. You know, I wish I had a clear answer to that. I think these are technologies that are here to stay. And the ETF approval is, I think, further indication of that. It's just frustrating that we're spending so much time in the judicial process to get clarity when we could do that, as many other countries like Japan, the UK, the UAE, Switzerland, here in Switzerland. You know, these are not small economies. They're doing the work to provide that clarity. And in the U.S., I think it's become a political agenda, not a policy agenda.
From someone who's studied this as many years as you have, what would be the proper framework on a regulatory environment that needs to be in place?
Well, I think the number one thing I think about it is not about regulating the technology. It's about regulating the outcomes and the activity. Just because we have new technologies, we should still care about things like KYC, know your customer. We should still care about anti-money laundering, AML. Those are principles that are, I think, sacrosanct. I think the U.S. SEC has been trying to expand their remit to say, well, this new market, a $1.7 trillion market of crypto assets, is going to be under the remit of the SEC in the United States. The law does not support that. The CFTC is a much more natural regulator. And, things people will say, well, what about FTX? And, ironically, Gary Gensler was meeting with Sam Bankman-Fried repeatedly. FTX isn't about a crypto fraud. FTX is about a fraud. It happens to have been crypto, and it definitely was a self-inflicted wound for the industry. But one of the reasons I'm excited for what is ahead in 2024 is the headwinds of these self-inflicted wounds have largely abated.
Are you clear on who the regulators are? Because it seems like there are still questions, SEC, CFTC, or maybe everybody.
Well, in the U.S., there's still confusion, for sure.
Listen
outside
closely.
of the U.S., and the reason why Ripple has continued to grow very quickly outside the U.S., 95% of our customers are non-U.S. financial institutions. 75% of our hiring last year was outside the United States because of this. But yet, if you go back to the earliest days of the Internet, the U.S. did the work and provided clarity of how the Internet would be regulated. And the Internet today is, on a geopolitical basis, has benefited the United States more than any other country.
It's a great point. I want to get your take on what the CEO of Circle said. He says he sees a strong chance that the U.S. passes laws for stablecoin issues this year. Brad, tell us about the stablecoin and the potential looming regulation there.
Here we go. Everyone's leaning into stablecoin legislation being done this year. Let me tell you, think of it for a moment outside of crypto. Think of what it does for financial institutions and settlement. It instantly, with legislation, just very quickly, I'm going to play the rest of this, but very quickly, stablecoin legislation, true legislation, which means no more holding things up from the OCC, no more holding things up from the SEC or any other agency, legislation that says you can use it and this is how you do it, right? Think of it for a moment. Instantly, stablecoins will make banks 24/7, 365. The world will change the day that legislation passes. It will never be the same again.
So I think the regulation there is appropriate. I think it is the priority on Capitol Hill. I've spent a bunch of time in Washington, D.C. The U.S. Treasury, stablecoins, 95+% of the market of stablecoins is the U.S. dollar stablecoin. You have Tether, you have USDC. And I think the U.S. Treasury wants to see that those laws passed, and I think they will be pushing Congress to act. And I think that's good. That's forward progress. There are new dynamics of what stablecoins mean to financial kind of settlement. And so I think
there it was. Listen really quickly. He just kind of real quick there.
You have USDC. And I think the U.S. Treasury wants to see that those laws passed, and I think they will be.
And who sits on the board at Ripple over the years? Michael S. Barr, Susan Friedman, Craig Phillips, Rosie Rios, all Treasury officials.
Be pushing Congress to act. And I think that's good. That's forward progress.
That's right.
There are new dynamics of what stablecoins mean to financial kind of settlement. And so
there it is.
So I think the CEO, Jeremy Allaire of Circle, is correct that that'll probably happen in the first half of this year.
Piece in the Journal this morning on how China's crypto traders are evading the rules there. They write this: the success of the country's crypto traders in evading the rules shows how difficult it will be for regulators across the world, including the United States, to actually police this industry. Your reaction?
I think there are elements of that with any new technology. There's obviously the Great Firewall of China is something that has people have sought to circumvent, evade within China for probably a decade or two. I think, again, if you think about the activities that these technologies enable, KYC still matters, AML still matters, and ultimately Today, there are the off ramps through typically exchanges like Coinbase that are very good actors, where I think you are able to enforce these kinds of regulations. That's part of the self-inflicted wound of a settlement with Binance, the largest exchange in the world, with the U.S. government, I think a few months ago.
Well, that settlement you just referred to, congratulations to you and to Grayscale. What does this mean for you in terms of new business opportunities now that that's behind?
Look, Ripple really thrived under the scrutiny of the SEC, but outside the United States. My hope is that now that there is at least clarity for Ripple that XRP is not a security, that opens up the U.S. market a little bit. The challenge, of course, is you still have U.S. regulators who are pretty hostile, right? The SEC continues their litigation, enforcement through litigation, and even the OCC has been pretty negative about crypto. My view is this is a technology, this is an asset class that is here to stay. We need to embrace it and understand that. And I think ultimately the U.S. typically gets it right. It's just taking a little while.
So what's the pushback for Jamie Dimon, who was on the program last week saying, look who's using crypto, terrorists, look who's using sex traffickers.
My reaction to that is terrorists and sex traffickers use cash. If you look on a percentage basis, I'm not trying to say that any new technology, bad actors can use any new tool. Bad actors will use AI. Bad actors will use crypto. I think there are a lot of very good actors in crypto who are doing the right thing. Ripple only works with regulated financial institutions.
There you go.
You can't have anonymous transactions using Ripple's technology.
That's
right. So some of those things I think are good political talking points. They're not reality.
Yeah, well said. Brad, great to have you this morning.
It is. And I tell you what great breakdown that was on those points. No doubt about it. Listen, I don't want this to get too long, so I'm not going to continue much further than this. But I will tell you, we have some breaking news that just came in, ladies and gentlemen, that just came in for XRP Las Vegas.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Somebody roll that beautiful intro. I'm telling you, if you haven't had a chance to meet him one-on-one, it is something that you will keep with you for a long time. This is such a down-to-earth guy. It would really, I can't say enough. And you will have the chance to meet him again at this Guest of Honors benefit, Future of Digital Assets benefit dinner, ladies and gentlemen. The link is right on the website. All you have to do is go to the website and click that link right there, get your ticket. You're going to break bread with him. You're going to hang out with him. And you're going to have an experience that you've never even thought of how incredible it would be, let alone John Deaton and Michael Arrington, the Honorable Chris Giancarlo. This is going to be a remarkable time. And I'm going to give the breaking news inside the Freedom Zone. So if you want to join in and find out what the breaking news is, and it's breaking every day, you go to digperspectives.com, you join the Freedom Zone, and I'm going to tell you all about it inside. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you on the next one.